Alright guys, this is another, I guess, talking screen video about the AMD M5 B850 chipset and slash motherboard. I guess it's supposed to be a, what do you call it, a recommend video that which one you should avoid and which one you should be purchasing while shopping for these motherboards. I guess the TLDR to this is, long story short, I think there is a place for the B850 chipset, but you should be avoiding the ATX form factor, and I will explain why in this video that you should be avoiding some of these motherboards. So I would like to start off with just with the ITX form factor. And to be honest, and if you look at the chipset here, the 16X slot, which is where your graphics card sits, is gonna just be able to support PCIe 4.0. The chipset itself can support a 5.0 speed. So what I mean is that if you want to have a Gen 5 SSD, you can only have one. And in terms of this sort of configuration, I think not many people shopping B850 would be leaning towards the Gen 5 SSD in the first place. I wouldn't suppose to, recommend anybody in a budget side of things to shooting for all these Gen 5, SSD support. Really, I don't think you need that. So if you are shopping for B850 motherboard, you should be really spending money on a Gen 4 SSD and yeah, TLDR, I guess. But when it comes to purchasing the B850 motherboard in particular, the form factor kind of leaning towards B550 motherboards. So what I mean by that, it's if you're actually shopping for an ITX form factor, you are actually not able to find any of the X870 motherboards out there. Really, there's not many. So if you look at the PC part picker choices here, the A70i, which is just the A70 chipset, only give you two choices, and they're ranging from 300 to 450. Right, and if you look into the X670E, which is, you go back, you find out the old chipset, which this is actually still quite good of a chipset, right? Like if you are actually building, sorry, highlight the wrong one. If you are actually shopping for something more capable, you should be actually looking some of the older chipset, because that actually give you more lanes and more feature set. And the only thing that's actually different between the A70E and the 670E is some of the by default speed support. And if you look at this, the 670E and A70E is almost identical. Like everything's almost identical, other than the fact that USB 4 support are standard on A70E, and not only that, the memory, the memory support would be more, I would say, a little bit more mature. You're gonna get a little bit more support out of the A70E. But if you are on a budget and you're able to find X670E stuff for on the cheap, go for these, right? Don't buy this and that or that when you find a cheap X670, especially it has the features that you wanted. So don't, you know, don't think this is a non-relevant chipset. Get that. You know what I mean? Like it's no brainer if you find the one that's on sale. But anyways, when it comes to the ITX form factor, let's go back to ITX. X670E, you only have one choice, which is the Asus Strix board. A nice board, but you're paying a premium for this, right? Same with this one. You're paying a premium, and really you don't need it. Like there's just, you just don't need that. Like you cannot tell the difference between this board and that board, and when you're actually using it for anything, to be honest, unless you're looking for very specific feature set. And if you look at the A70E, and there's for ITX, it doesn't exist. We don't have that yet, and maybe Asus at some point will make one. Who knows? But at this current time, which is mid-January, we don't have a board that comes with mini ITX. And then we have the B850i motherboard, which is the new ones, just came out, I think last week. We have quite a bit of choices. You got the B850i from Gigabyte, from Asus, and from ASRock. If you look at the price, they're okayly priced. I wouldn't say this is a budget price by any stretch. And really, I wouldn't even recommend to go for an ITX build with using these boards. They're just too pricey for what it is. Especially on a budget, right? If you have money to spend, sure, go ahead and get one of these feature like rich motherboards. But if you're on a budget, I wouldn't recommend at all to get these. But I do recommend, if you are coming, to build a more budget-friendly motherboard, the B650E and B650i will be something that you want to get. Well, this is from last time. Let's start with a new search. Where's the 650? I think if you are in a budget, getting the B650 at today, like mid-January, would be the best choice. But if you're willing to wait a little bit, maybe the B850 stuff, like these boards might come in with more options. Price will be vary. B850 in the future. But today, in mid-January, you should be looking at these boards, especially the ASRock and the Gigabyte version of these two boards. I think they're just, quite budget friendly in terms like feature sets and build quality. I think they're very good boards for what it is. So if you are looking at an ITX build, and I think in terms like chipset, if you compare that to that, you are only losing a 5.0 SSD speed support for your SSD. Everything else pretty much stays the same, right? And if you look at like just the feature sets on your motherboard, and you're not gonna get USB 4 for a lot of these things. Really, you're unless you buy a premium board, which is we're going into one of these territories, expensive territories. But if you don't need those, then don't don't shop for expensive boards. Get these cheaper ones. To be honest, I'm not even sure these ones will have USB 4.0. Let's go for one of these. Let's try one of these. Does this one have USB 4.0 at all? USB 4 Type-C port, yeah. So, yeah, the premium board do offer USB 4 support, and yeah, if you're need USB 4, get these premium ones. But if you don't need it, stay away from it. The second thing I have to mention is when looking at these new B50i boards right now, because these are still outgoing, you're not gonna see much of discount on these. But I think in the next half a year or so, in probably July, August, you're gonna see these boards start go on sale. And by all means, grab one of these when they go on sale. They're just as good as, you know, any of these other ones. Obviously, if you see this one on sale, go get this, right? Anyways, so ITX in terms of my opinion, right now is not the time to buy an ITX B850i motherboard. Should wait. Just because you don't have many options out there. Yeah, that's for RTX. So let's jump to micro ATX for a change and see what sort of options that we get from these boards. And to be honest, this is a lost chipset, like B650E. Nobody ever buys these. I don't know why it even existed. Anyways, we do have some choices in this option, but anyways, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna go to micro ATX, and in my opinion, even let's say today, when it's fresh out of the oven right now for the B850 chipset, you should be thinking about buying micro ATX if you are planning to use the B850 motherboards. So let me tell you why. And this is under one simple choice. It's because Wi-Fi 7 support. You're not gonna find Wi-Fi 7 support in any of these boards. If I go in here and you just go like that, boom, all gone. You're not gonna get the choices, right? If you are looking into, you know, some Wi-Fi 7 support, you should be thinking about B850. And this is, you know, right now, currently, yeah, you're gonna only have few options, very minimal options, right? But I'm pretty sure when time goes on, you're gonna get more options by having Wi-Fi 7 support. Now, with that said, a lot of these B850 motherboards actually are full pack of features. So recently I just made a video on the all Asus motherboard, or sorry, all Asus build that fits in the $2,500 budget. I actually stumbled upon this particular motherboard, and yes, I think this price is quite expensive for a ATX or a budget build, but this particular motherboard is very feature packed, and I think that if you are trying to build a more premium ATX build, this would be the board you should be looking at. And by all means, I'm pretty sure these, like if you wanted to buy or build a white build, the Gigabyte boards are pretty nice too. And problem this is like you are limited to some of the manufacturer limitations. So what I mean by that is B850 stuff, I don't even see MSI having them at all. I'm actually liking MSI stuff a lot nowadays, and they don't have it. I mean, yeah, right now you can only pre-purchase or pre-order these things. I'm pretty sure MSI is going to come out with it. But right now, what I see on paper, you're kind of just limited to a few decent premium boards for, you know, the mid upper tier builds. This would be the range you'll be looking at from 179 or 180 to 220, you know, upper premium MATX build. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with buying a cheaper board like this, especially come with Wi-Fi. Because if you're on a budget, you're probably not buying, you know, the 9800X 3D. You're probably buying something a little bit less expensive, like, you know, what was that CPU again? That only Micro Center sells? Or is it the, what is that? I can't remember. Just 76X 3D or something like that? Like this one? Yeah. I mean, if you find this on a good budget sale, I think this will be a good buy to pair with a budget MATX build. Like this would be fine, right? But really, I mean, if you're in a budget, you're probably not even looking into the X3D stuff anyways. You're probably just looking at basic, you know, one of these guys, right? The 7600X, or do they have? Yeah, you can build a 9600X. Still pretty pricey, to be honest. You should go for AMD, but this is what this is what you're looking at, right? Some of the budget AMD stuff, some of the Zen 5, really that's the cheapest one you can get, but you could go for, you know, let's say AM5. Let's click off Zen 5. For AM5, you could probably get into like if you were actually aiming for gaming, I think these ones will fit well with the budget B850 motherboards. And to be honest, frankly honest, I wouldn't even recommend you to buy the B850 motherboard if it doesn't come with Wi-Fi 7. And I would actually tell you to buy one of these budget boards here. But if you look at the price, right? Like these budget board will actually go on sale. I wouldn't recommend you buy this, but you're going from 118 to the budget board side of things. I would say I would start from here down maybe to the prime boards, so 150, so 130 to 150 price point. And if you look at the B850, you're starting the 130, but you're topping out, I would say, if you want to go for budget, this is where you want to land at. the 129 to 140 range, right? And the upper range is these guys here. And if you are looking at just the upper range, any of these will suffice. And to be honest, you're just pick out the color you like and you'll be happy with it. Obviously, if you're a particular, brand fanboy, you want to buy Gigabyte, sure, go ahead. Nothing wrong with that. Buy Asus, sure, nothing wrong with that either. And that's the thing, right? And this is the only recommendation for me to give you, is that the B850 chipset is kind of only good for M-ATX build. And you say, oh, why didn't I get the ATX? Well, look at this, okay? 650E. This chipset is just kind of stupid, and I don't know why it existed, right? And if you change the filter to ATX, for example, right? If you change everything to ATX, and if you change it to ATX, oh, I'm going to close that now. I don't need these. And all right. What are my choices? You're gonna have a ton of choices, and yeah, okay, you're gonna get $130 for, let's go backwards, okay? Let's say I'm looking at B650. Well, I'm B650. I'm looking at $130 to $200, probably the upper range of these boards. And yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but $200, that's your maximum. Well, okay, you say, okay, yeah, $200, that's the top I'm going to spend. I'm going to go for A50 because, I'm also going to spend $200 something on these boards, right? But you go back to the chipset, okay, so for $200 I can get that. I can get that. What about 650E? That's it. Well, 650E is a stupid chipset in general. I don't know why it existed. But anyways, it does exist. You could buy that. Okay, that's the decent board. But then you could also buy the A70Es for $300. Okay, that's pushing your budget a little bit because you're looking at 200 mark, right? But you could also get this stuff, the A70Es. And what you get from the A70? Wow. You get PCIe 5.0 support on your PCIe lanes, right? That only give you the 4.0 speeds. This is more future-proof for sure, right? More than this. And it will also give you 5.0 SSD support by default, right? And you're gonna get more ports and lane support, and you're gonna have standard USB 4.0 support, right? So for me, why would you buy why would you buy these? Why would you buy the B650 stuff? I'm gonna put that side by side with this. Why would you buy this for not much more price? You could buy a X870 chipset, and these ones will have Wi-Fi 7. Every single one of these will have Wi-Fi 7, right? These ones, you're not necessarily getting Wi-Fi 7, but if you get one of these guys, yeah, sure, you're gonna get Wi-Fi 7. But you're already spending like $200. You could just buy these 200 bucks. Why are you spending more money for no reason? So I would say personally, I would avoid ATX B850 boards like a plague, because really you're gonna have so much better option with the X870 stuff. Not only that, the boards are just, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, the VRM is better on these things. No, like they're all gonna be sufficient for for the AM5 chip. So yeah, I think I have covered everything. I think that, to sum it up, the B850 motherboards are only good for M8X form factor. And depending on what's on sale on ITX, whichever is the cheapest or the ones that you need the features for, you buy that. But I would definitely avoid the ATX form factor like a plague for the B850 board, because it just doesn't make any sense for the price. Now, obviously, if these were going on heavy discount, let's say this was $150 for some reason from some crazy sale, go get one of these. All right, unless you have a similar motherboard that's also $150, then you buy that. So to sum it up, buy M8X B850 chip motherboards, and you'd be happy with it. Avoid ATX at all cost. Well, thank you for guys sticking through the whole video, me rambling about this particular chipset, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I have only 6 subscribers currently, and I hope, if you enjoy my rambling about things, and click the subscribe button, and I appreciate your support. Thank you. Bye.